The old train station echoed with the hurried footsteps of travellers. The air was thick with the sounds of announcements, the clattering of wheels on tracks, and the murmur of countless conversations blending into a cacophony of urban life. People rushed to catch their trains, their thoughts consumed by destinations and deadlines. Each person was a part of the relentless flow, moving with purpose, driven by the demands of their daily lives. Amidst the chaos sat a solitary figure, almost invisible against the grimy wall. The crowd moved around him like water around a stone, barely noticing his presence. This was John, a beggar who had known only hardship for as long as he could remember. His eyes, once bright with the dreams of youth, now held a deep sadness, a reflection of the countless struggles he had endured. John's life was a monotonous cycle of outstretched hands and whispered pleas. Each day he would take his place in the station, hoping for the kindness of strangers, yet expecting little. Day after day he sat on the cold, hard ground, his eyes downcast, his voice hoarse from repeating the same tired words. The pavement was his stage and his performance was one of survival. He felt invisible, forgotten by the world that rushed past him. The faces of the commuters blurred together, a sea of indifference that washed over him without pause. His heart ached with a dull ache of despair. The weight of his circumstances pressed down on him, yet he clung to a sliver of hope, a flicker of belief that someday, somehow, his life would change. Yet John clung to a sliver of hope, a flicker of belief that someday, somehow, his life would change. He dreamt of a warm meal, a roof over his head and the dignity of honest work. He dreamt of a warm meal, a roof over his head and the dignity of honest work. These dreams were his refuge, a place where he could escape the harsh reality of his existence, if only for a moment. Little did he know that fate had a plan, a chance encounter that would alter the course of his life forever. It would come in the form of a tall man in a finely tailored suit, a man who would ignite a spark of transformation in John's weary soul. This businessman, with his polished shoes and confident stride, was a stark contrast to John's tattered clothes and defeated posture. As he approached, John felt a strange mix of curiosity and apprehension. What could this man possibly want with him? The businessman knelt down, bringing himself to John's level. He looked into John's eyes, not with pity, but with genuine interest and concern. "What's your name?" he asked, his voice gentle yet firm. John was taken aback. It had been a long time since anyone had asked him his name, let alone cared to hear his story. "John," he replied, his voice barely above a whisper. The businessman nodded, as if committing the name to memory. "John, I believe everyone deserves a second chance. Would you be willing to work if given the opportunity?" he asked. Hope flickered in John's eyes. "Yes," he said, his voice stronger this time. "I would do anything for a chance to turn my life around." The businessman extended his hand. "Then let's get you started," he said with a warm smile. John hesitated for a moment, then grasped the offered hand, feeling a surge of hope and determination. As they walked away together, John felt a sense of possibility he hadn't felt in years. This chance encounter was the beginning of a new chapter in his life, one filled with hope, dignity, and the promise of a brighter future. And so, in the bustling heart of the city, amidst the hurried footsteps and the relentless flow of life, a beggar and a businessman began a journey that would change them both forever. One chilly evening, as the sun began its descent, casting long shadows across the station platform, the air was filled with a sense of quiet anticipation. The golden hues of the setting sun painted the sky in shades of orange and pink, creating a serene backdrop for the bustling activity of the station. Amidst the crowd, a tall man in an impeccably tailored suit walked towards John. His stride was purposeful, each step echoing with a sense of determination. The man seemed to be in his late 40s, with greying hair that added a touch of distinguished elegance to his appearance. He moved with an air of quiet confidence, his eyes reflecting a life of purpose and success. There was something about his demeanor that commanded respect, a silent authority that made people step aside as he passed. John watched, with a mixture of curiosity and apprehension, as the man stopped in front of him. He had been sitting on the cold, hard ground for hours, his body aching from the chill that had seeped into his bones. The sight of the well-dressed man standing before him was both unexpected and intimidating. "Good evening," the man said, his voice deep and resonant. It was a voice that carried a sense of warmth and authority, a voice that demanded attention. He looked down at John with an expression of genuine concern. His eyes, a piercing blue, seemed to see right through John's worn-out exterior, as if he could glimpse the struggles and hardships that lay beneath. "I've noticed you here before. It seems you're going through a difficult time." The man's words were gentle, yet they carried a weight that made John feel exposed, vulnerable. John hesitated for a moment, unsure how to respond. He had grown accustomed to being invisible, ignored by those who passed him by. The sudden attention from this stranger was both unsettling and strangely comforting. He had grown accustomed to being invisible, ignored by those who passed him by. The daily routine of being overlooked had become a part of his existence, a painful reminder of his fall from grace. The man's kindness caught him off guard. It was a rare occurrence, a glimmer of humanity in a world that often seemed cold and indifferent. "Yes, sir," John finally mumbled, his voice raspy from disuse. "Life hasn't been kind." His words were simple, yet they carried the weight of countless sleepless nights and endless days of struggle. He looked down at his worn-out shoes, ashamed of his circumstances. The shoes, once sturdy and reliable, were now a testament to his hardships, their soles worn thin from miles of wandering. "I'm just trying to survive." The words were a stark reminder of the harsh reality he faced every day, a reality that seemed to offer no respite. The words hung in the air, heavy with the weight of his despair. The man in the suit seemed to understand, his expression softening as he listened. In that moment, amidst the hustle and bustle of the station, a connection was formed, a silent understanding between two souls from different worlds. The tall man listened patiently, his eyes never wavering from John's face. He seemed to absorb every word, every nuance of John's story, as if it were the most important thing in the world at that moment. His gaze steady and kind, he exuded a sense of calm that was almost palpable. It was as if his very presence was a balm to John's troubled soul. When John finished speaking, the man offered a gentle smile, one that spoke of understanding and empathy. It was a smile that said, "I hear you, and I'm here for you." "I understand that you're facing challenges," he said, his voice calm and reassuring. "Life can be incredibly difficult, and it's easy to feel overwhelmed." John's brow furrowed in confusion. He had poured out his heart, detailing every struggle, every setback, and yet this man seemed to suggest that the solution was something as simple as a change in perspective. He had never thought of it that way before. The idea that his thoughts could shape his reality was both intriguing and perplexing. "What do you mean, sir?" he asked, his voice barely a whisper. The question hung in the air, laden with curiosity and a hint of desperation. The man's words were like a pebble tossed into the still waters of his mind, creating ripples of doubt and a glimmer of possibility. It was as if a door had been opened, revealing a path he had never seen before. "It's about your mindset," the man explained, his eyes twinkling with wisdom. "If you believe you are destined to be a beggar, then that is all you will ever be. But if you can change your thoughts, if you can start to see yourself as capable and deserving of more, then your life will change accordingly." The man's passion was evident in his gestures, in the way he spoke with conviction. "Your thoughts are powerful. They shape your reality. If you can change your mindset, you can change your life." John's mind raced, trying to grasp the concept. It was a completely foreign idea, one that challenged everything he thought he knew about himself and his place in the world. He felt overwhelmed, as if he was standing on the edge of a great abyss, looking down into the unknown. But there was also a spark of hope, a flicker of possibility that he couldn't ignore. Could it really be that simple? Could changing his thoughts truly change his life? The questions echoed in his mind, each one a step closer to a new understanding. As he pondered the man's words, he felt a sense of determination growing within him. He realized that he had the power to change his life, to shape his destiny. It wouldn't be easy, but it was possible. The seed of doubt had been planted, but so too had a seed of hope. And in that moment, John knew that he was ready to embark on a new journey, one that would take him beyond the limitations of his past and into the boundless possibilities of his future. The tall man's words echoed in John's ears long after he had gone. He found himself replaying the conversation over and over in his mind, wrestling with the unfamiliar ideas. Part of him clung to the familiar comfort of despair, to the belief that his life was beyond his control. "How can I just change my thoughts?" he muttered to himself, his voice filled with doubt. "I have nothing. I am nothing." The weight of his circumstances felt heavy, suffocating, almost unbearable. Days turned into nights, and still John struggled with the tall man's words. He found it difficult to shake off the ingrained beliefs that had shaped his life for so long. The fear of failure, the terror of the unknown, held him captive, paralyzing his every move. Yet, amidst the turmoil, a tiny seed of hope began to sprout within John's heart. What if the man was right? What if he truly had the power to change his destiny? The thought, though frightening, was also strangely exhilarating and filled him with a new sense of purpose.